Next up, many factors, including weather, influence disease development in plants. The question isn't whether diseases will happen, but rather which ones and how severe will they be. Nebraska Extension plant pathologist Tamra Jackson-Ziems gives us a rundown of what she's seeing this year.
This year already in July, we're beginning to see a few diseases in spite of the drought conditions in some parts of the state. And it's a good reminder that high humidity is often a good driver for a few of these diseases. And so let's talk about what some of those are. As we're beginning to see corn in some parts of the state approach and begin to tassel, a lot of people are thinking about their foliar fungicide applications. Right now, we are seeing a little bit of northern corn leaf blight development. And remember, those lesions are more cigar-shaped. They can be very large, but right now, as they're beginning, they're quite small, about 1 inch or 2 long and rounded on the ends. So several counties are picking that up. And we're beginning to see some gray leaf spot too, the other fungal disease that's very, very common for Nebraska. At this point, nothing is at a level that requires treatment, but these are things for us to watch as we move forward. Treatment decisions should be based on scouting, weather forecast, and whether that's favorable for disease, as well as disease history in those fields and what you know genetically about the hybrids or the soybean varieties in your field. So keep that in mind. And we do get better results from fungicides that have multiple modes of action. One good reason for that is for the disease frog eye leaf spot in soybean. That is a disease where we have now confirmed strobilurin or group 11 fungicide resistance in Nebraska. In fact, in all 10 counties that we sampled in 2019. If you think you have frog eye leaf spot and you're considering a treatment for it, fungicides do the best job between R3 and R5, so we've got a little bit of time in most fields. It's important to know, though, that if you have strobilurin resistance, and there's a good chance of that those products will not help you manage that disease. And so you're going to want to consider the other 2 fungicide active ingredients or classes that we do have available to us, ones that are from the triazoles and from SDHIs, or products that have all 3. And keep that in mind when you make these treatment decisions. Bacterial leaf streak is developing in numerous parts of the state this year in our cornfields, and we've seen this disease for several years now. The way you're going to tell that apart from gray leaf spot is that when you hold these leaves up to the light, the lesions can look very yellow and bright, and that's because the bacterium causing it produces a yellow pigment. Being bacterial, a fungicide will not stop that disease, so it's very critical that you get it identified correctly. When you're considering a fungicide application on corn, remember that we've had our most frequent returns when fungicides were applied at VT, that's full tassel emergence, or shortly thereafter. In fact, studies from across 13 states show us that there's an 80% chance of increasing yield, but you don't always get an economic return. That economic return will be determined by how much disease is there, which corn hybrids you're applying to, the disease history in those fields, and of course your scouting and how much disease you find out there. And so be sure and consider that. And if you are making applications, which most fields do not need a fungicide application at this time, just remember that more modes of action in the products will give you a better return in the end.